I'm a passion coach, so I work with clients doing personal coaching. I also do seminars and I do resource creation around the issues surrounding passion and sexual intimacy. So clients often come to me when they want to work on their sex life and they need somebody to help them navigate the difficulties that they are finding and reach the goals that they want to have for their personal relationships. My name is Eryn-Faye and people can find me at Eryn-Faye.com. When I began my business, I was in a small town. And I found that the majority of my time and effort was spent going to clients and meeting with people one-on-one, and I was doing all the marketing myself. My website that I had at the time was just more a kind of brochure website where everything was static, nothing changed, there was nothing interactive about it. And I realized that in order for me to reach the goals that I had for my business, this was not going to be tenable in the long term. And I needed to do something that was different. And I realized that I could either keep talking about my business, or I could have a better website that did that talking for me so I could go about the business of doing my business. Well, the building process of my website started out kind of like a gong show. I had hired another company. I thought I had been very specific with them on what I wanted and what I needed to happen. I was working against a deadline because my website had to go live on the day that I was on my very first TV show. I had the potential reach of tens of millions of people that I was going to be reaching, who were going to be going to my website. It was imperative that it was perfect. And this other company just dropped the ball. They didn't have a clue what I wanted, and they obviously didn't have the ability to deliver what I needed. And so I scrambled, and it was during that panicked period that I found Sherman. And Sherman came in, and he was incredibly helpful because he really locked onto the vision that I had for my website and knew immediately how to implement the things that I asked. Well, as I mentioned, the timeline was incredibly tight. We literally launched the website just hours before the TV show aired, and we had tons of hits immediately come in. And the feedback that I have gotten on the website, not just on that day with the TV show, but ever since then, has been tremendous. I recently had a woman who contacted me from Switzerland and wanted to translate some of my resources so that she could use them. I've also had a multi-million-dollar business in the UK contact me to see if they could use me as an expert for their business. So I couldn't do those things had it not been for my new website. One of the things that we realized was most important when we put together the website, and some of this was from insight that we had from Sherman as well, was just that we needed to have a high degree of content. I needed to be producing blogs and articles on a regular basis to draw people into my website and keep them interested in what I had to say. So I did that on a consistent basis. We also used social media sites quite a bit. We utilized Facebook, we utilized Twitter, we brought guest authors onto my site. I was able to guest author on other sites. And these were all things that brought in a lot of hits and a lot of interest on my website. We noticed almost immediately a huge impact from these strategies we employed. First off, I started getting comments from people all the time, either personally and on the website as well, that they were really interested in what was being said on the blog. I was also able to garner a relationship with several people who run a blog that gets millions of hits every single month, and to be able to speak with them with credibility because of the things that I am posting on my blog is huge in my business. And probably most importantly, I was asked by an internationally renowned therapist to be an associate of her because she appreciated what she saw and she appreciated the direction I was going in my business. Well, the thing I felt was completely unique about Sherman was how passionate he was that my website be as good as it could be. It was something that was obviously very important to me, but he found it just as important to him, and I absolutely love that about him because he really got on board so fast. He was so helpful. It was just as big a priority to him as it was to me, and that was huge, particularly considering the background of the other company that I had come from. So I love that about him. The other thing about Sherman that I found so reassuring was when I had lots of questions and I didn't understand what I was talking about and I could only throw out my ideas in sort of vague concepts, he really grasped what I wanted, what I needed, and he was able to make it happen. I think Sherman's absolutely fabulous, and I would highly recommend that anyone who's not in an industry that competes with my own use him. I have to say that the marketing is obviously working, because I recently moved to a new town and I walked into a local store, and as I walked in, the gentleman who owns the store looked up and said, "Oh, you're the passion coach." And I realized that word had begun to spread around town that I had arrived.